I know I don't really make videos on like player signings and player movement, but I just saw today that Discraft announced they're signing Ricky Wysocki to a deal. I didn't actually see what the terms of the deal were. I can kind of check that out in a second, but I just had to make a video about this because like, what is going on at Discraft?
This is my moment, my team, my next chapter. Together we're building something unforgettable.
By the way, speaking of Discraft, I just won this bag that I have a couple discs in. I'm gonna use it for the channel going forward, so we'll put some discs in there and do some like disc reviews and viewer stuff. We'll try to have some fun with this. Okay, so I pulled up here a couple of the announcement posts that Discraft made. I don't see anything on here, any descriptions about like what the deal is gonna be, how much he's gonna be getting from them, and I guess Facebook just isn't loading at all. Now I'm looking through all of the comments here on Reddit. I don't see anything about how long the deal's gonna be, how much money he's making. I know with Dynamic Discs, he had a pretty big deal with them for 4 years, which I believe he ended early. I don't know the exact date range on that, but it seems like he's moving on to Discraft. Now, what I'm really amazed by here is it seems like Discraft is just scooping up all of the talent over the past couple of years. I mean, we just saw them sign Ezra Robinson. We just saw them pick up Ken Climo. So they now have Ken Climo, pretty much the GOAT of disc golf with the most world titles. And then we have Paul Macbeth and Ricky Wysocki now, who were like two rivals within disc golf for a long time. Notably, both of them were on Innova at one point. Now they're both going over to Discraft. Same with Ken Climo. These were all former Innova players who won world titles while with Innova and are now going over to Discraft. And I feel like this is a pretty clear indication that Discraft is saying, hey, we feel like we want to invest in our players. We want to invest in the Pro Tour. We want to get the best players. We want to give them the money that we're putting the money into the players. We're putting our investment into the players, into our pros, and they have easily the most stacked team where pretty much every other company, notably as well, Dynamic Disc that Ricky just left, all these other companies are pretty much trying to shed off all their dead weight and just have one or two big players on their roster. Like, let's go look at other teams' roster. Innova, so Team Innova. So who's on Team Innova? We have Greg Barsby, good player, won a world title, not really a top touring player. Same with Philo, same with Garrett Gerthy. I wouldn't really consider them like the very top of the tour. Where I think when we're going to look at Team Discraft, a lot of high-level touring players. The only two that I think you can really say are like really high-level touring players are Calvin Heimberg and Bradley Williams. But really, Calvin Heimberg is just their big name. They don't have any other like really big names. Calvin's like the only guy on here that's like consistently winning tournaments, placing in the top 10 week in and week out. Now, the only other company that I think is kind of doing this is MVP. I just looked up Team MVP Disc Golf. And also another thing to note is look at how long it's taking me to like find this. I looked up Team MVP Disc Golf, it didn't show up on Google. Searching Team MVP didn't come up with anything. I had to go onto their website, go all the way down here to here. And now, of course, they do have some high-level players. I'm gonna talk only about MPO because I pay the most attention to it. I'm not gonna have as much to say about FPO, but of course we have the Jeremy Coley big signing, Elu Mann, Simon Lizotte, James Conrad. They're kind of starting to corner their side of the market, and of course MVP is a smaller brand than Discraft. Discraft sells the Ultra Star for Ultimate, so they obviously have a lot of extra money with that and can invest that money back into disc golf. But I think MVP is like the only other team where I kind of see them trying to get new people coming in. We even had like Paul Kranz being brought into MVP as well. So clearly they're kind of trying to add a little bit more than subtract. When we go to Team Dynamic Discs, I mean, we have Eric McCabe, Ron Converse, Chris Smith. These are like the world championship team. From what I can tell, these aren't like really touring players right now. These are people who have won some sort of world championship. And then we go to the Supreme team, which kind of seems to be their like touring team. We have Parker Welk, who kind of has that big win in DDO. Ty Love, Zach Melton. I don't really think are like three, like, again, super high level touring players. So you kind of have Dynamic Disc getting rid of Ricky, and I guess Kona, but like getting rid of Ricky where you're kind of losing your like best player and the only player on your team that's like significantly placing within the top 10 week in and week out on the Pro Tour. And then of course with Discmania, they kind of keep it a little bit small. I mean, they're kind of on the same size of MVP, I would say. And I think they have actually kind of a sneaky good roster with Gannon Burr, Kyle Klein, Niklas Antala, and then you have Alden Harris, Casey White, Colton Montgomery, Gavin Babcock, all like pretty good players. And then as you continue to go down, you have guys like Silas Schultz, Twamis, not going to even try to pronounce that. A good amount of depth within their team. Now, let's go to Team Discraft. First of all, the first thing you notice, they have teamdiscraft.com. This isn't just like, this isn't discraft.com. This is their team website. They have a website for their team. They're literally showing you like these are the players, we're investing in them, we're making an entire website about them. Go on here, buy their merch, you can shop by the athlete, you go to each one of their pages. They have different merch and discs and apparel for every single player. You have Paul McBeth's touring schedule for 2024 on here, which I'm sure will be updated. Like, they clearly are trying to put their players out there. I mean, they have they obviously are going out of their way to do photo shoots here, to put them on the website, make it look real nice. Like, they are really trying to be a high-level professional brand, and then we're seeing that even more. They're picking up Ricky, they had Paul, they're grabbing Ken, they're doing this thing with the Ken Climo discs. They have Ezra Robinson, who's like a really, really good up-and-coming player. But let's just look at who they have on their roster. Paul McBeth, Chris Dickerson, Ezra Aderhold, Anthony Barella, Corey Ellis, Aaron Gossage, Adam Hammis, Paul Ulibarri, and then now Ricky Wysocki. These are all players that are like showing up in the top 10 pretty frequently. Like, Paul McBeth is like their best, player historically, but yeah, you have Paul McBeth. Chris Dickerson, right, multiple GMC champion, Music City Open champion, I think a couple times. There's some other tournaments that he does really well at, like very good high-level touring player. Obviously, Ezra Aderhold, he had a couple big tournaments last year. I think OTB Open, and I think Jonesboro as well. He was up there. He got a good finish, but he had a lot of good finishes last year. A lot of lead cards. Anthony Barella, of course, started off the year with a bunch of wins. Corey Ellis winning European Open not too long ago, and of course is one of the best putters on tour. Aaron Gossage is not only all over social media, but also working with all the other Discraft guys. And that's another thing, is these guys are all working together. Like, Ricky's going to be now hanging out with AB, with Aaron, with Adam, doing all these things. Paul McBeth even doing videos with them. Like, they're all in this social media sphere. They're clearly pushing their team out there, unlike any other team's doing. And I think Discraft is really setting the stage for like what the future of disc golf is going to be, in my opinion. I can't see us going backwards from this. They are just pushing the envelope even further. Adam Hammis is up there in the top 10 all the time. Has been like a pretty much a mainstay on tour for a while. And then Paul Ulibarri, the team captain, kind of the veteran within them, not really showing up in the top 10 that much. Really, really good putter though. Great on the social side. Really good at managing the team. Obviously, he's on tour life with Brody, and then they even have like guys like Brody, who like they obviously see the value in having creators on their team, having people who have good social media presences on their team. And I think this is just so cool. Like, you have Aaron's discs here, you have the apparel, you have hats and stuff, and every single person, you have all their signature discs. They have jerseys for each player. They have, if you go to the home here and you just search by their names, everyone has their own logo. It looks really nice. They have like their own color schemes for each player. Like, it's just so professional. They clearly put so much effort into their team. And now the fact that they're picking up Ricky is just like, I don't know. I could have seen him maybe going to like MVP or Discmania. That'd be kind of crazy. But like, I just feel like Discraft has so many top players. Let's take a look at the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings in 2024. I think this says 2025 right now, but I think it'll show 2024, yeah. So let's look at the MPO standings for 2024 and just kind of get an idea of who these top players are. So right now, Gannon, obviously Team Discmania. We have Ricky Wysocki here, number 2 player in the world, according to the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, now on Team Discraft. Another Team Discmania player here, you have Calvin, top guy from Innova. Isaac Robinson, now on Latitude 64, another kind of notable team that I didn't really bring up before. Paul McBeth, I guess maybe he was showing up in the top of the leaderboards more often than I thought, considering he's 6th here, but I feel like I didn't see him as much. But Paul on Team Discraft, Ezra Robinson on Team Discraft, Anthony Barella, Team Discraft, Chris Dickerson, Team Discraft. We finally get to someone that isn't on Team Discraft in Kyle Klein. Again, Team Discmania, who I said kind of has a sneaky good team. And, as we're working our way down, we get to now Aaron Gossage, number 15 on Team Discraft, Adam Hammis, Team Discraft, Andrew Presnell, Team Discraft, Andrew Marweed, kind of. He's on Team DGA, but he's throwing some Discraft stuff. Same with Cole Radalin. I believe Luke Taylor is even Team Discraft, so they even have guys coming up from the, we have Corey Ellis, Team Discraft. They clearly are like dominating. I don't know what the percentage is, but they have to have the highest percentage in the top 32 qualifying, the people that qualify for the Tour Championship. Like, they clearly, I hear Brody and Yuli talking a lot about this, like manufacturers, couple they want to do and maybe they're buying into that. But I really just think that they're really trying to push for having the best players on tour and dominating that space. And I think people notice. I think people like it. Every year, Discraft is growing their team, and clearly they have the budget for it. Clearly no one's leaving Discraft. Clearly they like it. The discs obviously must be good since everyone's sticking around and having fun. You see new discs coming out. AB just got his new disc. I'm sure we'll see something with Ricky. I think this is just really cool. And also, Discraft has some of the most well-known discs in the game with the Buzz, the Zone, the Passion that was popularized by Ezra and Brody, the Nuke. They clearly have a very well-known lineup, and now they have all these guys throwing it and being able to market it, and then they have, I think, some of the best merch in the game as well with jerseys and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's so cool that they're doing this. I think this is the future of disc golf, and I truly can't believe they signed Ricky. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I look forward to a year of Discraft. It is kind of tough because you do have guys like Gannon and Nicholas and Calvin and Isaac who are all going to be on different teams sort of competing. They don't really have their top guy in the top 5 until now, right? They didn't have anyone in the top 5 from last year, and they just go, well, Ricky's probably looking to leave DD. They're running out of money. Bam, we got a top 5 guy now, and we have half of the rest of the top 32. So I don't know. It's just pretty crazy to me. It feels like a big dynasty of players. So we'll see if it holds up. We'll see if 5 years from now, if all these people are still there, if they continue to build. I think they're going to dominate the social media game. I feel like they must have some plans going into next year to making sure this is very good for them in the long term, is profitable towards them. And I'd be really surprised if they don't end up becoming even more prevalent as we get into 2025 and as the years go by. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I just had to make a video because this is just crazy news. And I'll see you next time. Peace.